What are the critical aspects of a Lean Six Sigma project? Specifically, I'm talking about a DMAIC project. I'm Amanda Zimmerman. I'm a continuous improvement mentor, and I've been working to make Lean Six Sigma possible, practical, and easy, no matter what industry you're in, no matter where you're at in the world for the last 10 years. Let's talk more about these critical factors in your continuous improvement or Lean Six Sigma projects, specifically your DMAIC projects. What are those critical aspects? So let's talk about 3 things that we can look for here, because we could go on for days and days about all the really important things, but let's just focus on a few of the ones you need to get right to be successful in your project. And successful means that you sustain your improvements. So the first thing that you want to do is choose the right project. Quite often people don't choose the right project. They choose the one that's easiest, most accessible, somebody mentioned it to them, and they push that project and they push it. And that's not what you want to see. You want to see the other teams pulling, asking you to help on projects. So you want to make sure that you choose the right fit for Six Sigma when you choose your project, but you also want to make sure that you choose a project where the stakeholders are going to be engaged so that you can sustain those improvements. So that's the first critical aspect, is to make sure that you choose the right project. The second critical aspect is ensuring that you have that stakeholder engagement. So quite often people come to me and they say, my manager doesn't support my project. My team doesn't support my project. I identified all these improvements and I can't get them done. Right? And so this really goes back to stakeholder engagement. Sometimes even you need to do a stakeholder analysis so that you can identify some of those gaps where you're going to have trouble actually implementing maybe changes or getting the buy-in that you need so that you can make these changes. This is where it becomes really important that your manager or your champion of your project really supports what you're doing. So when we talk about stakeholder engagement, you want to make sure that that champion is bought in, that you have a manager that says, I want this project to get done. That's going to create pull and energy. You want to make sure that the people implementing the improvement are part of the team, available and willing to make those changes, right? You have to have that team accessible and willing to make the changes as well. And you have to do that at the beginning. Right? And that third critical aspect of your continuous improvement project is that you need to focus on sustainment from day one. From day one, you need to think about how you're creating with your team understandings that are going to sustain improvements for the long term. Throughout Define, Measure, and Analyze, a lot of what you're doing with your team is helping them trip over the truth. The more that they can realize that this is a problem that they can solve, that it's a real problem that exists, that needs to be solved, that there is a timeline here, there is an urgency, that's the word I'm looking for, that there is an urgency to get this done. The more that you can create that so that they trip over the truth, understand for themselves why right now is not okay, the more you're going to have long-term sustainment. Right? The more the entire team is going to be bought into this change. So from the beginning, from choosing that right project to getting that stakeholder engagement to making sure that the team understands the problem, all of those things are so that you can sustain the benefits, right? So throughout the entire project, I want you to always think about how can you sustain this? How can you make sure that these changes are going to be the right changes and that they are going to continue over time, regardless if you or other people on the team are there. So those are 3 critical aspects of your Lean Six Sigma or DMAIC project that I want you to think about as you jump in to a facilitator or team member role.